We're now going to show you how to fully cancel or simplify a fraction. So we're given the fraction here 5/20. In order to fully cancel or simplify it, we have to get the largest number that goes into the numerator and the denominator, and that will be 5. And we call that our highest common factor. We then divide the numerator and denominator by this highest common factor. So we're going to divide numerator by 5 and we'll get 1. We're going to divide denominator by 5 and we're going to get 4. So we're left with 1/4. The fraction that we're left with, we need to check that it's fully cancelled. And the only way you know a fraction is fully cancelled is if the largest number that goes into the numerator and denominator is just 1. So if we take a look at this 1/4, the largest number that goes into 1 and 4 is just 1. So it's fully cancelled. So that's our answer. Part B then. We have 27/99. In order to fully cancel it or simplify it, we need to get the largest number that goes into 27 and 99. And the largest number will be 9. And we call that our highest common factor. We then divide the numerator and the denominator by our highest common factor. So divide numerator by our highest common factor, we're going to get 3. Divide denominator by highest common factor, so we're going to get 11. So at the minute we have 3/11. Again, check that the fraction we're left with is fully cancelled, and it is fully cancelled provided the largest number that goes into the numerator and the denominator is just 1. So the largest number that goes into 3 and 11 is just 1, so therefore our fraction is fully cancelled and it will therefore be our answer. Now, some people may not have realised that the highest common factor of 27 and 99 was 9. Some people might have looked at it and went, well, hold on, 3 goes into both of those numbers, so is the highest common factor 3? Well, let's see. We think the highest common factor is 3. So we're going to divide the numerator by 3, and that's going to give us 9. We're going to divide the denominator by 3, and that's going to give us 33. So at the minute we have 9/33. Now, is this fraction fully cancelled that we're left with? Well, the largest number that goes into 9 and 33 is not 1, it's actually 3. So we can actually cancel again. So our highest common factor here is definitely 3. So we're going to divide numerator by 3. We're going to divide denominator by 3. And we're going to be left with 3/11. And again, check the fraction that we're now left with. Is it fully cancelled? The answer is yes, because the largest number that goes into 3 and 11 is just 1. So that's our answer. Now, we did the same question using 2 totally different methods, but we got exactly the same answer as before. The method here we did over on the right hand side took more time. And the reason it took more time was because we didn't identify the highest common factor correctly at the beginning. Over here on the left, we did get the highest common factor correct at the beginning, and if that's the case, you'll only ever have to do one bit of cancelling before you get your answer. Because we didn't get the highest common factor correctly first time, we therefore have to do more than one bit of cancelling before we get our answer. So both methods are fine, they're both correct. It's just if you do go down this other method, you need to be prepared to cancel more than once. But it's perfectly fine provided you do the cancelling correctly. Part C, we've got 36 over 60. Again, in order to fully cancel or simplify it, we've got to get the largest number that goes into 36 and 60, and that number is 12. We then divide the numerator and denominator by 12. So 36 divided by 12 is going to give us 3. 60 divided by 12 is going to give us 5. So our answer then is going to be 3/5. Again, the reason that's our answer is because the fraction is fully cancelled. The largest number that goes into 3 and 5 is just 1. Now again, it's very tempting to look at 36 over 60 and say, well, hold on, 6 goes into both. That would be a lot of people's first impression. Is the highest common factor 6? So, let's divide the numerator by 6. We'll get 6. Divide denominator by 6. We'll get 10. So at the minute, we have 6 over 10. But the fraction that we now have is not fully cancelled because there's a larger number than 1 that goes into the numerator and denominator, and that number is 2. So we can cancel again. So divide the numerator by 2, we'll get 3. And divide the denominator by 2, we'll get 5. And again, we're now left with a fraction that is fully cancelled because the largest number that goes into 3 and 5 is just 1. So our answer is 3/5. And just like in part B, over here on the right hand side, we didn't identify the highest common factor correctly. We did get a factor, but it wasn't the largest one that goes into 36 and 60, and because of that we had to do 2 bits of cancelling before we got our answer. But our answer is exactly the same as before. Again, there could be another way we could do this. I mean, some people might look at 36 and 60 and say, well, hold on, 4 goes into both of those, and then they would have to cancel, divide top and bottom by 4, but then they'd find they'd have to cancel again, and it would be very, very similar, but that you would eventually get 3/5. Okay. Part D. We've got 28 over 42. Now, again, we need to get the largest number that goes into 28 and 42. Now this is a difficult one for many people, but the largest number that goes into 28 and 42 is 14. Now that's not immediately obvious. So what we're now going to do is we're going to divide the numerator by 14, and that's just going to give us 2. We're going to divide the denominator by 14. 14 goes into 42 3 times. And we're going to be left with 2/3. And again, that's going to be our final answer because the largest number that goes into the numerator and denominator is just 1, so it's already fully cancelled. Now, a lot of people it wouldn't be obvious to them that 14 goes into 42. So instinctively, a lot of people would be quite right to say, well, hold on, they're both even numbers. 2 goes into both of those. Is the highest common factor 2? So let's divide both by 2. Divide 28 by 2, we're going to get 14. Divide 14 by 2, we're going to get 21. So at the minute, we've got 14 over 21. Now, this fraction isn't fully cancelled because the largest number that goes into 14 and 21 is not 1. The largest number that goes into both here is actually 7. So divide the top number by 7, we'll get 2. And divide the bottom number by 7, we'll get 3. And again, just as before, we'll be left with 2/3. And again, 2/3 is fully cancelled. Largest number that goes into numerator and denominator is 1. So I would expect most pupils to do that question using this second method here on the right, because as I say, it's not obvious to a lot of people that 14 goes into 42, and that's fine. Again, as I've said before, it doesn't matter which approach you use, but try if you can to always get the largest number that goes into numerator and denominator. It just saves you time and hassle. It means you only ever need to do one set of cancelling. Okay, part E. So we've got 48 over 96 and we want to fully cancel. So we're looking for the largest number that goes into both. Well, again, it looks a bit daunting, but it's one of these ones you either spot or you don't. 96 is actually twice 48. 48 goes into 96 twice. So the largest number that goes into 48 and 96 is actually 48. So we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 48. So divide numerator by 48, we get 1. Divide denominator by 48, we're going to get 2. And again, we're left with 1 over 2. That fraction is fully cancelled. Largest number that goes into numerator and denominator is just 1. Now, if you weren't able to spot that, the highest common factor is 48, again, there's an alternative approach. Most pupils will look at 48 and 96 and say, well, they're even numbers, 2 definitely goes into them, so is the highest common factor 2? So divide both by 2. Well, 2 goes into 48 24 times. Divide 96 by 2. Well, 2 goes into 9 4 times with a remainder of 1. Carry that over to make 16. 2 goes into 16 8 times. So we've got 48. Now, what we're left with at the minute is 24 over 48. Now, you should hopefully be able to spot, hold on, 24 is exactly half of 48. So the largest number that goes into 24 and 48 is 24. So we're going to divide 24 by the highest common factor and get 1. We're going to divide 48 by the highest common factor and get 2. And again, we'll be left with exactly the same answer as before. Again, pupils might look at 48 and 96 and say, well, 4 goes into both, is the highest common factor 4, and then go down the same method. But again, you'll have to cancel more than once in order to get our final answer of 1/2.